Hi guys, welcome back to this exciting session. Thomas, welcome again. Olivier, good to see you again. How are you going, guys?
Hello. Very well, excellent. Nice
Very
being
well
with you guys.
Thanks, Dharam, for setting this up, and thanks, Olivier, for joining this call. And today we want to talk a little bit about the topic of program management, domain governance, and how it relates to different kinds of transformations of programs we are doing. So the first question would be to you, Dharam. What is the role of governance in the program management standard? What are the key items that have to be understood to discuss governance with programs?
Thanks, Thomas. Good question. So before we jump into the question about the governance and the few other things we're going to talk today, let me establish what is program and a little bit different between program and project. That's very important to know, because most people think and whatever we do is a project, whether it's a small, large, medium, whatever it is. So definition of program is very simple. Within the program, we are running projects, sub-program, and many activities to complete the work in a strategically managing the interdependency and ultimately realizing the benefits. So these kind of things, it's not easy to achieve via project management. Program management, we are managing interdependencies and making sure we all on the same page and common goal and achieving the benefits. So it's a very basic definition, and both of you are PgMP, and so that's where we learn something, and I'm happy to have your point on this. And then we'll talk about these 5 domains. Program management, as per PMI, Project Management Institute, they have defined there are 5 domains you can do your job while you're going from one phase of the program to next phase. You define the program and you deliver the program and close the program. Within that, you have 5 domains. The domain being the strategy alignment. Then we have benefit management, stakeholder engagement, governance, and program lifecycle. So as we move from phase to phase, we are working or doing some tasks within these 5 domains. So each of the tasks are very, very important, and we can spend a lot of time on each of the domain. But today we like to touch base. One, I like to talk about the strategy first, and the second is the governance, and especially governance, important the governance in the transformation, in the normal transformation, and then we talk about the crisis transformation, which we are all dealing with at this stage. So normally the C-level executives or the board of directors, they get together and talk about where we are, where we want to be in 1 year time, 5 years time, 10 years time. So they create a vision. Based on the vision, there's a mission. They come up with one or many missions. To achieve the vision, we have to have vision, missions. And then we come up with goals, objectives, strategies, and these strategies are given to a particular portfolio manager, and they identify the right projects, program, and operation work. So this is how normal program management goes. And then if we have a crisis situation, which nobody has thought, maybe it's a pandemic like we are in, or maybe it's earthquake or something else happen, or maybe tsunami happen. So these things we cannot plan. Yes, we can always think of if this happen as a part of risk management, we can do these things. But in crisis, many organizations are not ready or were not ready, especially when we talk about the COVID-19. Not many organizations were ready for this kind of situation. So today we're going to touch base, and Olivier, as I know now, you are writing a book, and the topic is very much we are talking today. So I think you are the best position to talk about the various type of transformation, from basic transformation to going into the major transformation, very basic project management to program management to program a program. So especially dealing with normal transformation, and then we talk about the crisis transformation.
Yeah. Thank you, Dharam. Actually, I was expecting to have more of your wise input on that. Working currently on these topics. Why is it so important? First, everything is about transformation and change. whatever you're doing as an initiative, let's not talk about projects or programs, but whatever you're doing as an initiative in an organization must be aimed at changing something. If it doesn't change anything, just don't do it. The idea is to move forward. So the change in an organization has to be continuous, but not necessarily permanent. Jack Welch was saying that if the rate of change on the outside of the organization exceeds the rate of change in the inside, the end is near. So an organization, a company, is a changing body perpetually. Now, there are different layers, levels of change. And indeed, in any company, when we talk about change, we hear two words. We hear projects and we hear programs. Project, let's be careful, because what, as you just mentioned, describing the governance principles, a project is something that delivers outcomes. What effectively integrates these outcomes to generate change within an organization is a program. So we would have a tendency to say that what creates change and transformation in an organization is a program. Most of the time, yes, but sometimes it's too much, depending on the type of level of transformation or level of change we have to implement. Deploying an entire program governance system to manage a small incremental improvement on our operations would be using a cannon to kill a mosquito, basically. And sometimes, like the situation most of us are now in with the COVID-19, it's not even sufficient. And we have to find a new paradigm. We have to find a new way of integrating these different frameworks of project and program management in order to keep moving in our evolution, keep moving in our changes, just to stay on the market. So basically, we have 5 degrees of change, of transformation in an organization. We have a basic realignment. Basic realignment, you see that something is not working so well and you have to tweak. You know what? That's not even a project. That's just one short activity. If you ever have to just put together a statement of work and you're good to go. Then we have in many operations, when you look at Six Sigma, when you look at Kaizen and so on, all of those different things integrate continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is a change, but it's an operational, ongoing, continuous change. So that's operational. It's not projects, it's not programs. It's part of the continuous, ongoing operations of the organization. Where we start to enter into project and program management is actually the next level. When we have transitions between one state of something, process, governance, product, system, to another state. I mean, deploying a new version of an information system in a company. That's limited in terms of outcome to your information system. It's basically the same information system, but you're just moving from one version of SharePoint to another one. Then you will launch a project to do that. Start, finish, deliverable. That's what I call the enhancement project. And sometimes it's even more than that. If I keep going with the parallel with an information system, moving from whatever Skype thing and SharePoint document sharing and video conferences, moving to Microsoft Teams, for example, implies new ways of working, training people, sometimes switching the structure of the information model, of the data model within the company, and so on. So that's a bit more than that. That's a change, changing the status. And then just having one project is not enough. You start to have, yes, one IT project, then you start to have a training project, then you start to have a data migration project, then and so on. And all of that, guess what? constitutes a change program. In the very classic way, we can see it either in PMI's program management standard, or we can see it in MSP's managing successful programs, or even in the Japanese standard P2M. But sometimes we go beyond that. We have to go beyond that because some actor is coming on our business market and totally disturbs the business environment. There is a word for that, which is Uberization. Uberization, coming from, of course, from Uber, is when an external actor you did not think of previously comes on your market and totally bunches your business model. Then you have to transform your organization into something else. You have to switch from one business model to another. You have to adapt. And this is a core deep transformation. And then a single program is not enough anymore. The level of uncertainty, the level of ambiguity, and then the complexity of your environment is so high. The variability of your environment, of your business environment, is so high that you will have to launch multiple programs to address that and coordinate the management of these programs within what I call a program of programs, which is definitely a strategic complete reframing and a cultural reframing of the organization. And then you have the last top disturbing, chaotic thing that happens, COVID-19. What happens with COVID-19? It's an immediate disruption, total disruption of your environment, of your strategy, of your means, resources, clients, everything. Everything falls apart and like this, immediately. And then no single model actually applies to that. And you have to find new ways of doing with this. And it's very complicated, because when you focus on change, on transformation with a program, you put a quite far away horizon on your change, on your transformation. You aim at long-term benefits, and you take the necessary time to develop the roadmap of your program and develop all of this. In a disruption, you can't. In a crisis, you can't. You have to focus on immediate outcomes, which is basically what you find in the specific activities for realignment and in the enhancement projects. But still, you have to plan far enough ahead in order to develop what we call organizational resilience. So it's a mix between short-term, short-scoped set of activities with a very narrow, very short-term vision, and in total contradiction, a very far away strategic horizon, enabling you to ensure the resilience of your organization. So it's a very interesting scope we're looking at here now.
So can we easily say that this is a kind of a risk management and issue management? Because risk is something we can see, plan now, and we have a fallback plan and plan B, plan C, plan D. But for issue management, it's like happening now, crisis, guys, and we look for the workaround. Workaround should be enough for us to keep going.
I don't know if you have watched a recent talk by the risk doctor David Hilson, who was talking about, is the COVID-19 a risk or a black swan, as he calls it, and he says no, it's not a risk because it has happened. So there's no uncertainty. We're in, and we're in very suddenly, and so we just have to react. And the reactive mode is everything which project and program management is not. Project and program management is an activity of anticipation. If you ever have to react, it's a failure.
Exactly.
You have failed to plan. And here, there's no way you can plan anything. So it's a very interesting mixture of projects, programs, and operations tied together in something which is even beyond agile, actually.
Yeah, great. And Thomas, thank you're very quietly watching or listening this discussion. Very interesting. So, Thomas, do you know how this? We are already in 2 months now, many countries, and with the observation you guys have, how most of the big organizations, small organizations are dealing with this kind of crisis, and what they could have done or what they can do now to come out of, in not just losing, but maybe surviving, but maybe thriving as well. Thomas?
Yeah, we have. Well, if you look at the German market, and the companies there, we have the whole spectrum of companies who are really thriving on the COVID crisis because, there's a producer of these ventilators, and they have a lot of new asks to create ventilators, and they have a big order from the German government, from other governments, so they are blossoming, and then their stock is going up. That's the one corner. The other corner is mainly small companies, let's say restaurant owners or bar owners or startup owners who don't have so much resilience yet. That's what you mentioned. Who don't have any resources, so they really think, okay, we have a problem, and we are in this crisis that we did plan for that. We have no risk buffer for that, so we have to go on. And luckily, the German government has taken a lot of money in their hands, and they are trying to support these kind of business. And there is a lot of things in between. So if you look at the automotive industry, or you look at banks, they are not doing too bad. A bank can function if people are working from home.
Yeah.
Automotive factories, or the Volkswagen organization, they started the one factory, the major factory in Wolfsburg again. So, and they're not bringing in all the people yet, but the people who are not working, by the way, they didn't fire anybody during these weeks.
That's good.
So they are waiting it out, and they are restarting factories, and they are trying to get into sales again in the second quarter and third quarter. So that's what's happening in Germany. And I think the organizations that face a real chaos because all their plans, all their ideas, all their visions, missions went havoc now. They are in this area, but in Germany they are mainly small companies. So they have not planned so much ahead and so structured as the biggest. The biggest ones are doing better. Even in the healthcare market, if you look at hospitals which were struggling before, they are now the best friends of everybody, and they get the money, and they are not even fully active because they are trying to put some buffers in terms of ICU beds and so on, and doctors and staff, and preparing for the next wave of the COVID to come. So in practice, I see what you have described, Olivier, on the one corner, but I also see the very normal way of doing business as before. I think what's more changing is the political environment, the consciousness of the people, and what's really because I think some groups in the society, they worked on beliefs that are no longer valid, and the beliefs are changing now. And what's coming up, if beliefs are going down or are invalidated, the human values come up again, and that's what we observe with the community and compassion and helping others. Why is that coming up? Because you are not really believing what your company mission set as a belief. So we believe in whatever, being the best automotive manufacturer. That doesn't matter in the moment, even if they are surviving, they are in survival mode, and they scrap all the other plans and ideas what they had before.
Yeah, and at a personal level, you know that I had a plan to come to Germany, Italy, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Australia, India. I had so many plans. I was looking forward to this, my first time running the program in with you in Frankfurt, and I was very excited up until February. Actually, I was lucky that I was able to run program in Saudi Arabia, first time there. So I was very excited. Suddenly in March, I realized that all my trips are canceled. Even US trips are canceled. What can I do as a company? Uh, I was talking to my 16-year-old son. He's actually smarter than what I used to think. Or he's, if he's watching, he probably said, "Dad, I'm." Anyway, so he gave me one idea. Because he's in school. He said, "Dad, remote is good, and I've been doing this remote training for a long time. The cost, why don't you reduce your cost? People who, if you're traveling, make sure it makes sense that you charge for the venue, this, but because sitting at a garage, don't using your laptop, reduce the cost." So that was a trigger moment for me, and suddenly my March was really bad. What's the April suddenly gone up, and I think I'm more busier than other time, and without talking too much, but my bank balance is much better than what I was in March compared to what I was thinking going to be next 3 months. So suddenly things change. It's about organization has to sometimes agile think what can work in my new situation. So I think that's where we need to, we talk about large organization which they have to transform, and they have to have teams get together, do things. But at smaller level, small organization can also thrive. Restaurants are not all the restaurants are suffering because because of the thanks to this delivery boys we have everywhere. They have tried. They actually, I think I should not say they struggle, but they survive, if not thriving. Amazon and some other companies, they're delivering home, they are making more money. And people who are not in this mode, they start doing it. And that's what we look into in the crisis mode. How can we come to speed as early as possible without losing much of the staff, much of the, our focus, and still continue with this? One of the things we can say, there are some tools available in the market which are based on SaaS model, with what do you call uh, cloud-based data centers.
Yeah.
These kind of things are very good, especially in any crisis. It's a tsunami hit or some big earthquake happen, because the data is the key for any organization. If you cannot access the data in a crisis, you're gone. You cannot survive. So if your backup data is sitting in 2 different data center, if this thing happen, at least your data is safe. And then if you have connectivity using some of the tools which are coming up or they are in the market, you can be working from anywhere. So I think going forward, organizations should look more into how can I, first of all, use the cloud technology, just not relying on the in-house infrastructure, cloud technology or remote working capability using some of the tools available or going to come in the market, and giving enough freedom to the staff, and also thinking what they're going through. Emotional intelligence is very important at this stage. As a program manager and a project manager, you have to think what they're going through. And as we talked earlier, not everybody is capable of working from home, because one is they have limited infrastructure like laptop or a PC. Most houses have 1 or 2 PCs if they're lucky. And now in situation like this, the 2 or 3, 4 kids, if you have more, then everybody like to be online at the same time. And I'm sure this is impacting many families. So that's the, we have to be how much we can of course we can plan, but how much we can plan? So, Olivier, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, in this type of situation, of course we can't plan everything. We are, as I just said before, as you just reinforced, we are in a reactive mode. But there is one thing which we have to plan and we have to stick to it, is actually the benefit. What is the overall value as a large organization, as a consulting or training company, as a restaurant, as a delivery shop? I don't know. What is the value you create for your stakeholders? And delivering that value can be done in many different ways. The problem we see, and honestly, the companies, the businesses who will disappear in this crisis will be companies who don't focus on the value they create, but they focus on how they create it. Trying to adapt, or even more, or even worse, preserve their delivery model. It's not the delivery model that is important. What is important is the benefits you generate for your stakeholders. Is the value you actually create for your clients, for your shareholders, for the community at large. And guess what? Planning around benefits, around value delivery, is what program management is about.
Value delivery.
So this is the program management part of response to crisis. Planning around benefits and value. And then will come the activities, the projects, and everything that will actually answer the question, how do I still deliver that value? If one way doesn't work, let's find another one. And this is risk management. This is immediate issue management.
Yeah.
And then you have this combination of reactive and anticipative, which comes into the picture.
Olivier, I agree, and I would even extend that a bit. The value you delivered before the crisis might not be the benefit and the value you are delivering next day. They might be slightly modified. So, like what Dharam said, he's still delivering value that people can prepare for the certification. But the way he was doing that was mainly through one-to-one and face-to-face consulting. Now this benefit change. The people don't have the benefit of talking to each other, seeing each other. So I think a lot of companies will have to reevaluate the needs of the stakeholders and what is value to their stakeholders, to their customers. Maybe they find new customers if they can deliver a certain kind of value. So a value is always depending on who is looking at that as a value. Other people might see the same thing as a disbenefit, as a damage. And so if you now have the assets and the capabilities to do something, so you have to think about, what can I do with that to deliver value to the stakeholders which have changed needs right now. The needs are of more security, the needs are of having the food or staying healthy or whatever. So if you adapt to these needs, I think you are in a good situation to survive that.
But the core value statement is the same. If we take the example you took the example of Dharam and his consultancy and training, and I do the same. And I was discussing early in the crisis with one of my business partners, and it was like, what do we do to maintain our schedule of courses? I said, we don't. That's not the value we create to have a schedule of courses. What we create as value is competency development. How do we switch our ways of doing things in order to still maintain this thing, which is core? And guess what? Now people have time. So to open a boulevard for competency development. But face-to-face trainings on planned and scheduled sessions, that won't happen. forget about it. You're wasting your time, you're wasting my time and our energy into trying to maintain a model which is doomed. But the core value of what we effectively create for clients is still here, and this is what we have to deliver.
Yeah. So one of the things which we talked during the change transformation and all kind of things. So when people are disrupted, you know, the way of doing things versus now, it happens slowly at the time. You know, some people are impacted, they have to do jobs differently or remotely or whatever it is. So or losing job kind of thing. We have seen many situations like that. So there are a few stages we go through. You know, first is surprise, anger, and then start relating with the situation, and then take a next action. So surprise because, oh my God, my job gone. Why is me? You know, surprise. And anger. You start feeling angry. I was doing so much, you know, I was loyal to the organization. I've done everything. You start feeling angry. And then you start, if you stay in the anger mode, you cannot come out of that. But you need to say, okay, I know it's something happened. I'm upset, angry, and what I can do to thrive in the same situation. That's where the transformation happens. If you stay in the anger or surprise mode for longer time, you going to stay there for many, I don't know how long. But yes, you look at what is possible and then come out of that, and you will thrive again. So we all seeing the change, and I don't know for how long we're going to stay in this kind of mode. I hope not for long. And the life is going to change again. You know, we're going to thrive again. Yes, not we will not have everybody who are at the moment with us on the planet Earth, but whoever is going to left, we will still thrive and do something different this time. I think this is going to be changing way we have been doing. So I think it can be an opportunity for many, as we have talked about. And yes, it's a sad moment, but we need, as a business, as a person, we need to see what is working and what can work after this situation. And so personal transformation, organization transformation, program transformation, program management, project management, whatever we can use to come out of this situation and not only survive but thrive in this situation.
Yeah, I would like to quote one small sentence. Effective strategies should be focused on maximizing opportunities, and action should not be based on minimizing risks, which are merely limitations to action.
Yeah.
Anyone knows who said this?
Just now, Olivier.
Peter Drucker, the man who invented management.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know. So I know that only Oliver is saying. So, yep, out of. All right. Anything else, guys? Before we close through the session, it was interesting session, and we touch base some of the key things. Thomas, you did talk few things, and Olivier, definitely your idea of transform from basic to the transformation, all great. And I hope people who have been who are watching this video can learn something from this, or they can always reach out to us for anything, with the training and consultancy, or whatever way we can help, as a person, as an organization, as a group. So guys,
thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you very much for coming again, and thank you to whoever is watching, and feel free to put their comments. I would love to see comments as well. And yeah.
And I think, Dharam, I want to reinforce what you said. If you watch this and you had the time to watch it to the end, don't hesitate to contact us, as a group or singularly. I think we are happy, and probably you are happy to discuss with people you never met before.
Exactly.
That's the aim of the game.
Right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, and look forward to having more discussions.